went under this plate, and that's when the subduction process started. What is a subduction process? One plate going under the other one, and the one that's on top, it's lifted up. Now, I said that that subduction process is still going on. It's not as strong as it used to be, but here in this area of South America, the plates are still moving. That's why we have so many earthquakes in Chile. It's a common thing for us here in Chile. Actually, in May 22nd of 1960, in a city in the south of Chile, in Valdivia, we had the strongest earthquake ever registered in human history. Okay, in human history. That was a 9.5 on Richter scale. The strongest earthquake ever registered. Actually, on the time, they had to modify the Richter scale to be able to measure that earthquake. After that earthquake, a tsunami came. Actually, here in Chile, we got tsunamis, we got earthquakes, we got volcanic activity. When it rains, everything gets overflowed. When in the dry season, our forests in the central and the south part of Chile, they caught fire. So we got almost every natural disaster that you can think about. The only thing that we don't have are hurricanes or tornadoes. All of the others, we got all of them. Actually, in tourism, we say that our advertising, well, the legend for advertising Chile in foreign countries will be, come visit Chile. 9 out of 10 natural disasters refers us. We got everything here. Well, earthquakes. Because of that subduction process, the Domeyko Mountains were formed in a really fast way, really fast geological times we're talking, and the Domeyko Mountains raised from the bottom of the sea. Now the Domeyko Mountains are important for us because all of the bigger copper mines in Chile, they are inside of the Domeyko Mountains, almost all of them. So remember, we were talking about that yesterday. The paycheck from Chile, mostly all of the money that Chile makes, it's located inside of the Domeyko Mountains. Now the name Domeyko sounds kind of a native name, but it's actually a Polish last name. This mountain range is named after Ignacio Domeyko. He's considered to be the father of the geology here in Chile. He's the first one that started to do some geological studies, and the one that is supposed to start, the one that started the first serious school of geology in our country. He actually never went back to Poland to live. Actually, he stayed here in Chile, and his family still lives in a lovely house in a neighborhood called Yungay in Santiago. Actually, I don't know if the grandsons, they're still alive. They're still alive, they still live there. Well, then the Andes. The Andes started its formation 65 million years ago. Why? Because of volcanic activity. And that process is still going on. That's why we have so many active volcanoes in the Andes. Now, the Andes had different periods of elevation. The most important one in this area happened between 30 and 15 million years. So, well, what happened? The Andes started raising, growing and growing, and that created a huge pressure close to the Domeyko Mountains. Now, the salt mountains, the main components of the salt mountains are obviously salt, gypsum, clay, and calcium. But the salt that we're going to find in the salt mountains is not the typical salt as we know it. It's not like the typical salt as we eat it. It's a crystal called alita in Spanish with an H at the beginning. And that crystal is just salt that has been crystallized. Now, what do we need to create a crystal? A lot of pressure, a long time, and high temperatures. Well, during 15 million years here in the area, we had all of those three factors. A huge pressure of the Andes against Domeyko, high temperatures because of the volcanic activity, and a long time, 15 million years. At the very end of that volcanic period, this place that is close to the Domeyko Mountains were not able to handle all that pressure, and finally it raised up, it was lifted up, and that it's the beginning of the formation of the Salt Mountains. That is what we call the San Pedro Formation. Later we're going to talk about the Vilama Formation that is on top of the salt crystals. Where are those salt crystals? We're going to see them later.